our table would stroke his beard and look very wise, and then proceed to answer the questions right from the Haggadah. He would point out the fact that we were all sitting around a table with pillows or cushions so that we could recline. And you remember when Jesus celebrated the Passover with his disciples, they reclined at the table? That was part of the Passover tradition, to recline so that we could contrast the very first Passover, which remember how that was eaten? Standing up.
Standing up, right?
Remember we read about it. Staff in hand, sandals on their feet, ready for a hasty departure. But because God did redeem us, we are to be in a restful position when we celebrate it today.
Amen.
The other items that help answer the questions are all on the table. And one of them involves the matzah, or unleavened bread. It's put in a special compartment called a matzah tash. And I'm going to ask somebody to hold this microphone for me for a second so I can show. Will you come up here? Yeah. I'm getting everyone to participate. Okay, just hold it up so that I don't have to hold it. I need 2 hands for this. But the matzah tash actually is a pouch that has 1, 2, 3 compartments, and in each compartment is a wafer of the unleavened bread. And this pouch is also, thank you, called a unity. Now, it's an interesting unity because, as I said, it has 3 compartments to it. And the rabbis have various explanations for this 3-in-1 unity. Some say it's a unity of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Others say it's a unity of the priests and the worshipers of Israel and the entire congregation of Israel. But neither of these applications or understandings really make a whole lot of sense when what happens in the service is the middle wafer is removed. It's broken in half. And it's given a new name, the afikomen, or that which comes after. And it's put in its own special pouch, which is made of white linen. And then it's buried for a time to be brought back from its place of burial later in the service. Now, certainly to you and to me, this speaks more of the unity of God, doesn't it?
Amen.
God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And the matzah itself reminds me a lot of our Savior. For one thing, it's unleavened. And leaven throughout the scriptures is symbolic of sin, but Jesus was without sin.
Amen.
Also, part of the process of baking matzah, it's baked on a rack, so it ends up having these stripes on it. And in order to bake evenly, it's pierced through. You see the little holes in it? And I can't help but think of the words of the prophet Isaiah. We sang them earlier about how he was pierced through for our transgressions, how he was bruised for our iniquities, how the chastisement of our peace was upon him, and by his stripes
we are healed.
I don't want you to forget that buried matzah. We will come back to it later in the program. But the other items that help tell the story of Passover and answer the children's questions are put on a special plate called a Seder plate. And this one, you see there's 6 compartments to it. Each one carries a different item. Now, it's not a deviled egg plate, though. It looks like it could be. I'm going to go over the different items with you. And maybe after the service, some of you will want to sample them and try them yourself. But the first item on the Seder plate is called karpas in Hebrew. These are greens, usually parsley, and the greens are meant to symbolize life. Everyone takes a sprig of the parsley, dips it into salt water, which represents tears, and eats it. And in this way, we're to remember that a life without redemption is a life immersed in tears.
Amen.
And everyone takes the parsley dipped in the salt water. The next item that's on the table is a bitter root, either hazeret, it's called hazeret in Hebrew, either the root of a horseradish or an onion. And this is just sits on the plate, and it's there to remind us that the root of life is bitter. The third item is the ground up bitter herb, and it's ground horseradish. Now, it's kind of like Jewish wasabi. It's really strong, and it's and it's actually ground the day of the evening it's eaten, so it's particularly strong. And everyone takes a spatula of the unleavened bread and a good-sized helping of the horseradish and eats it. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate this for you right now because I want to finish the presentation. But I can tell you that this much horseradish, it evokes a certain physiological reaction. And what it does is it actually makes your eyes to tear, And we do this so that we might remember the tears that our ancestors shed when they were slaves in Egypt. And everybody takes enough horseradish to make their eyes tear. The following item is a lot nicer in taste. It's called haroseth in Hebrew. I'm going to teach you that Hebrew word. It has in the middle the sound, which is like the German ach. Make it in the back of your throat. Just when you say it with me, don't be too close to the person in front of you. Okay. Haroseth.
Haroseth.
Okay. And it's a mixture of chopped up apples and nuts and honey and cinnamon, and it's kind of a reddish brown in color, which is meant to look like the mortar by which we made the bricks for Pharaoh's storage cities. And sometimes it's asked, well, if this represents our hard labor in the land of Egypt, why is it so sweet to the taste? The rabbis reply, when we knew that our redemption was close at hand, even the bitterest of labor was sweet to the taste. And it's interesting because when you take this mixture, if you've got a bitter taste in your mouth from the horseradish beforehand, it just totally neutralizes it. And you're left with that sweetness. Now the next item should remind you of another holiday. Which one, you think?
Easter.
Easter. Right. And we don't know if the Easter egg idea had any of its origins in the Passover, but it certainly came first in Passover. The egg in Hebrew is called Hagigah, and it represents the morning sacrifice in the temple. It's a roasted egg over an open fire, and it was a joyous symbol in Judaism until 70 AD. And what happened then? Temple was destroyed, so there was no longer a place of sacrifice. And so when the egg is eaten today, it's eaten as a symbol of mourning. It's cracked, sliced, dipped into the salt water, which represents what?
Tears.
As we mourn the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. But for us as believers in Jesus, it is still a joyous symbol, for it's a symbol of resurrection and the fact that the temple was rebuilt in 3 days.
Amen. Amen.
Now the final item on the Seder plate is a bone. It's not any bone. It's the shank bone of a lamb. And in Hebrew, it's called zeroah. And because there is no temple standing today, the lambs are not sacrificed there for the Passover. And so the rabbis say we should just have the remnant of that in a bone to represent the Paschal sacrifice. And it's very interesting that this word zeroah is the same word that's used in the suffering servant passage in Isaiah, beginning at the end of chapter 12, where it says, "Who hath believed our report, and to whom is the zeroah of the Lord revealed?" That word for arm, an arm of the Lord. If you ever wanted to do a really neat Bible word study of your own, just trace all the places in the Old Testament where the phrase arm of the Lord is used, and you'll see a beautiful portrait of our Messiah. So zeroah. And we take this and we just hold it up. We remember what happened. We recount the story of how, as a people, we cried to the Lord to redeem us out of slavery in Egypt, and how God heard our cry and sent Moses as a deliverer to lead us out of Egypt, how he spoke to Moses in the midst of a burning bush, and said, I will stretch out my hand and strike you